traumatized from match day?
Next, I've got the pleasure of discussing Jessica Goad, formerly known as Dr. Jessica Willis. I thought this picture was appropriate because when she told me that Ryan's last name was Good, I really thought she said Good. And so, it took a while, and then I got this picture, and I said, well, that's just perfect. That's what it's going to be. She's a super reader. She's very cheerful. She's a friendly neighbor. I mean, I think all these really apply. So, Jessica grew up on a farm in rural Alabama, so is quite outdoorsy and loved animals. The reality, though, is that in all seriousness, most people from Selma, Alabama may not have been given the same opportunities that a lot of us are. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome. Right, Jess?
I'm back here.
Oh, there. And so the reality is that it would have been easy for you to fall into these, to these patterns and to maybe never even make it out of Selma. And the reality is that you persisted. You've never been willing to be put into a box. And I think that it shows in basically everything you do, and it shows in a lot of these pictures, including, this one that we took in the top right from Clinic Today, making herself, glammed up for the night event. We're literally sitting there, we just added that tonight. And so I think it's just a good, it shows that Jessica does what needs to be done all the time, and sometimes she does things that don't need to be done either. So she attended Auburn University, where I believe she was pre-veterinary, is that correct? And decided to make the switch into human animals. And then she attended UAB for medical school. And that, one thing that I think we all love about Jess is that she's never boring. You can see just a few of her multiple personalities and all disorders and everything here. There's just really a lot going on, and there's no single genre. I'm told these are not Halloween photos. I'm sure that made her quite stand out at the school. My favorite is probably the bottom right. That's her natural hair color, and then I'm glad that someone got her a razor, and then he decided to die. So, so according to Jessica's mother, she's happiest when she's bringing happiness to others, and she lives her life essentially as an open book, and I've always found that so endearing and refreshing. With so many others might be nervous to stand out with all, and I think it's just a fabulous thing. Your patients really respond to it. One thing that I thought was particularly great was that her mom told me that when she was like 3 years old, they had a doctor come to her preschool. She was just crying because they made all the girls wear nurse hats and all the boys wear doctor's hats, and she just knew right then that is just not how it's going to go. And so here she is, and now a doctor. So straight rolling with the punches, after and stick to her plans, even if things don't work out. After residency in Dallas, she was lucky enough to meet Ryan, and they lived in Nashville together where she worked as a hospitalist. But the reality is that they returned to fellowship and were in the process of planning a wedding, and literally everything went wrong they could. I'm sure that a lot of us probably remember. There was a band that scammed them, a literal tornado tore through her hometown in advance of the wedding, but it didn't stop them. They're married, they had a wonderful time, here they are today, and now they're actually expecting their first child later this year, and we couldn't be happier for them. So, Jessica's an individual. She doesn't take herself too seriously, and is very good at laughing at herself. She's quite quirky, enjoying certain delicacies. I'm told Oreos dip directly into sweet tea. Is that true?
Everybody needs to try it.
Okay.
It's the best. It's the best.
Oreos directly into sweet tea, Taco Bell nacho fries, Dollar Tree, over-the-top holiday decorations, and really incredible at patient care. Ryan gave me a few quotes, but I had a few of my own. So some of my top-notch, Jessica Goad, patient care quotes. Quote, "Why work out? Just go to Costco." I don't stop at red lights, and the waiter didn't card me. Does that mean I need Botox now? So the reality is you embody taking care of all the person. You do manage to do some cardiology in there as well. In clinic, I love that you can tell what rotation Jess is on by the way that she comes and enters clinic. If she's coming from cardiac rehab or coming for something relaxed, she's there, she's resting, she's kind of waiting on everything, and she's ready to go. If it's an inpatient rotation, sometimes I'm calling the hospital. Has anyone seen Jessica? Where's going on? And she's already snuck into a room in the back. But my personal favorite is when Jessica rushes in with what I like to call trucker lunch. So in spite of passing literally every lunch place in Chapel Hill between campus and East Town, there's a Whole Foods, there's a Chick-fil-A, there's a Cava, there's a Jersey Mike's, there's all these places. Jess stops at like the 7-Eleven, shows up with like beef jerky, roasted peanuts, and a Twinkie, and she proceeds to eat it during the course of the clinic, and we're telling patients to be more plant-based. I'm just think it's fabulous. So Jessica, she's going to be staying on with us to do interventional fellowship. It's a big year. We're also expecting her first child. It's been a pleasure having you in Wednesday Clinic and getting to know you. Your upbringing, willingness to do what's right, your charm, sense of humor, it makes you incredibly relatable with patients, and that's the kind of thing that a lot of times just really can't be taught. So don't lose that. You've got an ability to bond with your clinic patients, and so you have a heart of gold. Continue to pour it into everything you do. So congratulations, Jessica. Cheers. Come get yourself.
Got some extras. Good one.
All right. Where's MK? Oh, there you go. All right. Mary Kate Carilla. Last but not least, let me find yours. You have to roll it kind of equal. All right, so Mary Kate. So I got some good help from Justin and Mary Kate's sister with this, but to be honest, her mom completely ghosted me. Not interested, it's unbelievable. It's not that she doesn't want Mary Kate, but even with never meeting me, it must be genetic. They are completely tired of my BS before ever. But you may not know this, but MK was actually born in Australia. She lived there how long? Until how long?
2 years.
3 years old, and then she moved to New Jersey. So you can see that she, where she spent the rest of her childhood, she's the youngest of 3 sisters, all very creatively named Mary. There's Mary Kate, there's Mary Ann, and there's Mary Jo Ann. Am I correct in that? Good. I'm sure that was never confusing at all growing up. But at least you can use all the same monograms over and over again. Baby